See how this goes, my Bella. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Oh, we're so tired. Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. Aimee here, or welcome. I always forget to say that. Welcome if you're new here. My name is Aimee. I read a lot of male romances with some mystery thrillers thrown in there, sometimes horror. Today we're going to be continuing with my series that I'm doing with male romances. In my previous video I talked about enemies to lovers. Today we're going to talk about friends to lovers. So I'll give you 5 books that I have read and that I totally recommend to you. And then we're just going to talk about maybe some 5 other ones that I've come across that I really want to read. So let's get right into it. I'm going to start off with the understatement of the year. This is by Sarina Bowen. This is actually in a series, the Ivy Years series, but you can totally read this as a standalone. This is book 3. If you want to read the rest of the series, go right ahead. I have not read the rest of the series. This is the only male romance within the series. This book definitely gave me him, us kind of vibes, which are like one of my favorite male romance little duet or series, whatever you want to call it. This is a sports male romance involving hockey. So we have Graham and Riker. They grew up together. They were best friends growing up. They discovered along the way, exploring with each other, that they really liked each other and sort of fell in love a little bit. But an incident happens and these guys are split apart. Here we are years later. Graham and Riker both play on college hockey teams. Graham is very far in the closet. Riker is out and proud. They end up meeting back when Riker joins Graham's team. College team, that is. It's a little rocky when they first meet after all these years, being that Graham is in the closet and Riker is not. But a friendship forms again, as well as a little bit more. I absolutely loved this book. Highly recommend it. Then we have Honeymoon for One. This is by Kira Andrews. I read this a couple years ago. Really enjoyed it. So we have Ethan and Clay. In the beginning of the book, Ethan walks in on his soon-to-be husband with another man. So Ethan goes on their honeymoon by himself, and this is where he meets Clay. Clay is his tour guide. He is also a divorced 40-year-old man. Ethan and Clay form a little bit of a friendship while they're on this little Australian tour that Clay takes them on, and it just turns into a little bit more. It was a very sweet little love story. I loved it. Then we have a little duo called the Hello Goodbye duo. I'll keep wanting to say series, but it's just a 2-book series, and both books are friends to lovers, but very different from each other. They don't really have much to do with each other, although the characters in book 1 do show up in book 2, I believe, but very different stories. So book 1 is Goodbye Paradise. This is by Sarina Bowen as well. This first book was so sweet. So we have Josh and Caleb, who are very good friends, keep each other company in this religious cult community that they are in. As men, they are expected to have a certain persona about them. Josh knows he does not have he's not manly enough to be part of this community, and he is thrown out. And Caleb, being the good friend that he is and just the good man in general, he can't see having Josh live out there on his own, no money, nowhere to go. So he escapes and helps Josh find his way. They find their way to another person that has escaped the community, and here they sort of explore each other and what each other likes and how they feel about each other. It was a very sweet story. The second book is Hello Forever. This is Cax and Axel's story. They have been friends since they were 6 or 8 years old. They met during some sort of church thing that was happening, and they were caught doing bad things according to the church. Cax is offered a job at it's either a high school or a college school. I don't really remember, but it's to coach basketball, or it has something to do with basketball. Maybe involving the social media work for basketball. It's been so long since I've read this, but so he decides to watch the game on TV, and this is where he spots Axel. I got that mixed up. Axel is the one that gets the job. Cax is the one that he sees. I believe he sees Cax in the stands. So immediately he is intrigued and can't wait to make his way over there so he can once again be reunited with his friend and find out what happened to him all those years ago. Axel is an out gay man. Cax is not. His dad or his father is a very raging homophobic asshole. That's what I have written down in my Goodreads, so that's what we're gonna say. But yes, they meet up again. They, reunite their friendship and of course their love for each other. Another very sweet little story. I enjoyed both these reads. Then we have Roommate, another one by Serena Bowen. All of these were by Serena Bowen except for the Kira Andrews one. But anyway, Roommate is actually part of the Vino and Veritas series, but not really. Like, it comes before the season even starts. Like, I don't really understand why it's not considered like book one of the series. It's just part of the series. Anyway, this is Roderick and Kieran's story. Roderick and Kieran met in a saucy kind of way. Is that the word I'm looking for? Back when they were in high school. Moving on to years later, Roderick is a baker, and he catches his boyfriend cheating on him, so he packs up everything he has and moves back home. His parents are not really a part of his life due to the fact that he is gay. So he is basically looking for a place to stay. In comes Kieran. Kieran knows he's gay, but he's not really out about it. But yet he's not really like in the closet. He hasn't really like just come out about it. But anyway, he's a very complex character. I just remember thinking that about him, and I liked how Roderick comes in and sort of opens him up. So yes, they end up living together and forming a friendship over cooking, because Roderick is a baker. Roderick also, is it Roderick? Am I saying that right? Yeah, Roderick? Oh no. So yeah, he gets a job at the coffee house that Kieran is working at as the baker. So yeah, so that's how they come to meet each other again, although I don't think Kieran really recognizes him at first. I don't know, but I don't remember. It was very cute, very good, very just an eye-opening experience for Kieran to be with Roderick, because Roderick is just so expressive and outgoing and just loves who he is and loves to cook. And I love that part of the book, how they came together through cooking recipes. But yeah, it was a fun read. All right, moving on to books that I have not read yet, but I would really like to read. I might have talked about this one before, but I'm not sure. I think it came out like in January of this year. This is Mountain Topped, excuse me, by K.M. Newhold and Mia Monroe. I have written in parentheses here that it's a male story. Can a fantasy about being shared turn into something more? Bowen's about to find out when he gets mountain-topped. Is there a bigger gay cliche than falling in love with your straight best friend? Oh, I know, a random hookup with a dude from the gym. I don't think I've ever managed to fall for anyone other than the unattainable Hawthorne, but the more time I spend with Aldous, the more I like him. As for the straight best friend, do straight guys usually stare so much when you're wearing gray sweatpants? I never thought the drunken admission of my deepest fantasy would lead to the three of us hooking up and Hawthorne looking at me like that. Now my best friend and my hookup turned more or bonding over their shared love and mountain climbing. The three of us are exploring, and I'm hoping this is more than just a messy fling. It sounded really fun, so yeah, I want to check it out. Staying with the male category, this is Inevitable by Briar Prescott. This says, the three of us were never impossible. We were always inevitable. When Drew meets Ezra, he doesn't expect much. A one-night stand and a quick goodbye in the morning. That's how these things usually go. Only there's nothing unusual about Ezra and the connection that forms between them. When Ezra meets Drew, he doesn't expect much. A distraction and parting as strangers after a night of meaningless fun. That's how these things usually go. Only there's nothing meaningless about Drew and the relentless spark between them that just refuses to disappear. When Bass meets Ezra, things get complicated. As if being hopelessly in love with his best friend isn't painful enough, thrown in an unexpected friendship that develops with the one-time hookup of said best friend, and the results are messy at best, but sometimes beautiful things emerge from messy and complicated beginnings. And where 2 isn't enough, 3 might just be perfect. Sounded fun. I've looked at this book before, but I've never picked it up to read it. This is The Hate You Drink by N.R. Walker. This says a friends to lovers story about fighting the demons within and trusting in the love that takes its place. Because when all you drink is hate, that's all there is inside you. Eric Keston, son of Keston Real Estate Empire, knows what it takes to be successful. Despite his inherent wealth, he holds his own. He works hard, he's grounded, he's brilliant, he's also secretly in love with his best friend. Monroe Wellman lost his parents 3 years ago and never grieved, never recovered. Inheriting the family company and wealth means nothing, and his spiral of self-destruction is widespread and spectacular. Dubbed Sydney's bad boy, he spends more days drunk than sober, and the only person who stuck by him through it all is his best mate. But when Monroe hits rock bottom, Eric gives him an ultimatum, and his entire world comes to a grinding halt. I don't know, I've seen this before, and I've even marked it as want to read, but I've never read it, but yeah. And lastly, but definitely not least, this is What He Left Behind by L.A. Witt. Josh Carver would do anything for Michael Adair, his childhood best friend. In the 5 years since Michael finally left his abusive ex-partner, Josh and his husband Ian have helped him leave that horrific past behind. Another male also. Michael seems to have adjusted well enough until he admits he's afraid to date because the abuse has left him terrified of physical intimacy. Josh is stunned again when Ian proposes a solution. Josh can help Michael learn to enjoy sex again. It isn't like it would be the first time. After all, Josh and Michael lost their virginity to each other years ago. Michael hesitates but then takes him up on the idea. It isn't long before Ian's getting involved too, and it's all fine and dandy until emotions come into play that threaten their friendship as well as Josh and Ian's marriage. It says warning contains 3 guys who will do anything for each other, a hot tub that's always the right temperature, and a cat with an attitude problem. What cat doesn't have an attitude problem? Bella. She's sleeping. She's not having any of it. So that's it. Let me know in the comments if you've read any of these books that I mentioned, or if you have any friends to lovers recommendations that I didn't talk about. Let me know in the comments down below. We'll talk about it. But thank y'all, as always, so much for watching. I hope you're all doing well out there, staying safe. Hugs from me all around, always. And I'll see y'all in my next video. Bye, y'all.